Alright guys, today we are going to make our first geometry foldable. It's something that we're going to be doing throughout the year. Here's the supplies you're going to need. You need one piece of paper, preferably white printer paper if you have it, a pen or a pencil, just something to write with, and some scissors. So if you need to go collect those supplies, you can pause the video. Alright, so here's just a real quick idea of kind of what it's going to look like, but I'm going to use the document camera to show it to you in a little bit more detail. These are step-by-step instructions, and again, I'm going to go over each of these on the document camera, but at the end, I'll put these instructions back up there if you want to look back over them. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you the document camera. Alright, so this is mine. Y'all, it's a really rough draft. I did it in about 10 minutes, so it doesn't look pretty. I'm sure some of yours are going to look way prettier than mine. But what we have here is we have the title of each property on the outside. And then if you open it up, like if we want to do the symmetric property, on the inside, it tells you what the mathematical property is, and then just a way to remember it here in the middle. So for, let's see, the distributive property, this is the mathematics for the distributive property, and then this is just the way that I like to remember it. I like to think of a mailman distributing mail to every house in the neighborhood. Alright, so this is what we're going to create for each of our properties so that we'll have something to remember and the math for each of them. Okay, so to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to take our piece of white paper, we're going to set it landscape or hot dog, I don't know how you guys remember it, but set it to where it's wide, and then take your two sides and fold them over to where they line up in the middle. Now, this doesn't have to be exactly precise, but close counts. Alright, then we're going to take a pencil or pen or something to write with. And if you notice on my final product, I had 10 total. So I needed to make 4 tick marks to know where to cut it. And again, I didn't take a ruler and measure this. You could probably tell that the top's a little bit bigger than this one, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So we're just going to make 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to make 4 tick marks, about the same distance down each time, but again, it doesn't have to be exact science. Okay, next, it's up to you. You can either go ahead and write the title of each property, or you can cut, whichever you prefer. I think when I did mine, I wrote the titles first, just so that I would kind of have them all there. And then I cut afterwards, but it really doesn't matter which way you want to do it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut. And I'm just cutting along the tick mark up until I get to the fold. I'm not cutting past the fold. So I'm going to cut all of these from the tick mark up to the fold. And you're going to do that for both sides. Okay, so I just cut all of them. So now you can see your folds. Then you would want to go and put the title of the properties on the front. I am going to provide the titles for you in just a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and pause this video and get them on there. Okay, so I've written the title of each of the properties on my paper. Right now you're probably going to want to pause the video right here and copy down these titles. Now I did take some shortcuts. I want to make sure you understand. This is actually 4 different things, and I'll show you on this first one that I made. I actually wrote out addition property of equality, and then the subtraction property of equality, multiplication, so on and so forth. But here I decided that I could write a shorthand and know what it meant. So as long as you know what it means, you can abbreviate as needed. This is for you. These are for your notes. So pause it here and get the titles on your paper. Okay, so once you have the titles, then you're going to open up the flap, and on this part, the outside part, you're going to write down the mathematics for each property. Alright, so let me go ahead and go to this one that I've already done. So I wrote down the mathematics for the property. Same thing for each of these. You would go through and write down the math definition, if you want to call it that, for each of the properties. Alright, go ahead and pause the video and get those completed. Okay, so on the inside part here, this is totally your choice. Everything else you had to do the same way. But the inside part is whatever is going to help you remember it. All right, so like, for example, for properties of equality, I made myself a little note to keep the scale balanced. If you add something to one side, you have to add it to the other. That's just the way that I remember it. All right, so down here for the associative property, makes me think of the word associate. Like, who do you associate with? Who's your group of friends? And then the associative property just says that we're moving the grouping. So that's the way that I remember it. All right, just another example for the reflexive property. I think of the word reflection. When I look in the mirror, I'm going to be the one looking back at me. All right. So there's just some helpful ways that I came up to remember them. You guys might be able to come up with better ways, and you might be artists, so yours may look way better than mine does. But this inside part is totally up to you, whatever you think will help you the most. So go ahead and pause the video and get the inside completed however you would like to. Once you have that done, you have all of it done. All right, so this is going to be your first geometry foldable. When we go and do proofs a little bit later on, you can use this as a reference when you're trying to figure out what step it is. I hope this helps. Bye.